Hey everybody, Steven Jensen here with Jessi Davin. I hope y'all can see and hear us all right. We're going to be talking about Charlotte Flair today because that's been a hot topic this week. So if you guys want your questions answered, your voices heard, all that good stuff, make sure to send a super chat. That's right through YouTube. You can also send a donation with the donation link in the description below the video. So before we get into all this stuff, Jessi, how you doing?
Doing good, hanging in there, just chilling. Been busy week. We got Halloween this weekend, Spirit Week at my daughter's school, so I've been coordinating that. Savannah's crawling now, so I'm having to do that. Busy.
Yes, good stuff. And as usual, this is my Dave and Buster's Wednesday.
Woohoo!
So
Dynamite's back on Wednesday.
Dynamite's back. Good call. Looking forward to that. To get you caught up, Jessi, because I know you like to know the escapades of these Dave and Buster's weeks and trips and prizes. So yesterday, I went to my guy who I sell my prizes to that I don't want to keep. Made $160 yesterday.
Hell yeah!
On Dave and Buster's winnings, and me and my brother have a system now worked out where we can get more helmets that are signed more quickly and stuff like that. So we got a whole new thing. And also, I have, because I know you've liked hearing about this. You know what I told you, like, I've like been making friends through Dave and Buster's, like these other guys that are doing the same thing I'm doing.
People that come in, yeah.
Right. So I recently found out. Now I'm not worthy apparently yet of entry, but I will eventually work my way in. There is apparently a group. It's 50 people, and they're very selective. But there is an underworld, even like within what I'm doing.
What?
Where these guys are going out and they're hitting multiple Dave and Buster's like every day, like it's a full-time job. And
like a mafia ring.
Yeah, it's like an Ocean's 11 style crew.
Yeah.
And they win like I mean, to put it in perspective, between myself and my brother, if we're grinding, we might walk out of there with like maybe 30 to 40,000 tickets, but that's like a grind and being there for like a lot of the day and like spending probably 50, 60 bucks, something like that. These guys are winning like 100,000 tickets a day.
Holy heck.
They're doing it on like this whole other level and redeeming like big prizes like video game systems and like the whole deal.
Oh my gosh.
And so now I have found out that I need to work harder. I need to get better. I need to train.
You have a goal.
Yeah, I need to have a goal. So basically, to get in, I've heard a few things of how to get in. I don't want anything to do with like my following on Twitter because I feel like that would probably help because like it's a small thing.
Yeah, you got that blue check mark status.
I don't want any special treatment. So I think the way I've got to get in is I can consistently win jackpots on like 3 of the games there that like are like that pay out pretty big. If I can get up to like 5 or 6 of them that like I can consistently win, I think they might accept me into their group. So
oh my gosh, that's so cool though. It's like an elite society.
Exactly. So
Like the Freemasons of Dave and Buster's.
Yeah, yeah. And one of them is a big wrestling fan. So if you're watching this, Micah, what's up, dude? He watches some of our stuff. So
What's up,
yeah,
bro? Let him in your club, homie.
I know. Well, it isn't his group. It's like they got in apparently. Well,
They have a leader.
Yeah, yeah. This is like a tiered system of some kind. Like, I think that from what I understand, the guys that I know got in. For one, they're better than me at the games. Like, I've learned from these guys, so like, they're already a step above where I'm at.
It's like the front man from Squid Games.
I haven't seen that still, actually.
Oh, dude, it's really good.
I know. I've actually read the whole plot though because I was interested. But
yeah, I almost did that, but I was like, no, I'm gonna watch it. I watched it in Korean with the subtitles because that's the way you're supposed to watch it.
There you go. But yeah, these guys are on like just a different level. But I think for them to get in, like they have a YouTube channel and they posted some videos of winning like 5 jackpots in under 5 minutes and stuff like that on like different machines.
Holy hell.
And I think that was like, so I'm trying to figure out what I've got to do to
You should put a highlight reel. Like you should be like a high school football player and put a highlight reel on YouTube.
That's true. I was thinking about like the ultimate kind of like big D move would be if I went in there, won enough to get a GoPro from their prize zone.
Yes.
And then started wearing the GoPro.
Yes.
At Dave and Buster's. And
bro.
I can like.
Yes, I'm telling you, you got to do like a high school recruit highlight reel.
Yeah. Oh man, that'd be funny.
That would be hilarious.
What's up to everyone in the chat?
What's up, everybody?
I've been seeing the names kind of flashing up on my screen here on YouTube. Somebody, I think it might have been George. Somebody mentioned my hoodie. If you like these, you can get these on whatamaneuver.net. So check that out. Like anyone who's saying nice hoodie in here, like that's available for purchase, and it really, really helps when y'all buy this kind of stuff. And not just the hoodie, but like there's the hoodies and the t-shirts and tank tops and all that stuff. But me and Jessi have talked about maybe doing some merch at some point.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I'm definitely down to do. We just gotta come up with like some good designs or put little Roman on there. Which reminds me, CVS did another one of those big giveaways.
No way.
But I think that mine still might not even be there. Like I don't even.
That is so hilarious.
But anyways, yeah. So if y'all want merch for this show, let us know. Like if basically the way it works out, to be fully transparent, if even like 8 of y'all are interested in t-shirts, it's worth us doing. Let's put it that way. So
yes.
So let us know. Let us know if you want t-shirts and Steven and Jessi stuff, and we'll put it out there for you guys for this holiday season.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So yeah, that all said, we'll talk for about 45 minutes here, y'all. Once again, super chats and donations. We'll prioritize everything, get your messages up on the screen, and get us to answer them and talk about them and all that good stuff. What's up, Greg Cherry, as well? I saw you in the chat. The trivia legend himself, Greg Cherry.
Yes.
So let's talk about Charlotte Flair.
Let's do it.
Basically, the gist of what I understand, I haven't looked like super far into it, but it seems like a mixture of a lot of stuff. It seems like Charlotte is probably frustrated with her position in the company. She's probably not happy that her husband's not, or that Andrade's not there anymore. Probably not happy that her dad isn't there anymore. Probably isn't happy that she's been having to play with dolls all year. Probably not happy about a lot of stuff. And I guess the gist of what everyone's kind of talking about is that they were supposed to exchange titles on SmackDown when they got drafted to different brands. And Charlotte essentially threw her title on the ground, and it was supposed to be something different where Becky was holding both the belts or something. Then there was a big backstage argument between Becky and Charlotte, and also Charlotte and Sonya Deville apparently, and Charlotte was kicked out of the building. Is what is the gist of what I understand. Jessi, am I correct? Do you know anything more than this, or where?
Yeah, that is obviously all of this is alleged. Just putting that out there. This is all alleged.
Sure.
We don't know fully what happened, and we may never know what fully happened. But from what I've read, is it similar to that? And Charlotte was claiming that dropping the title was an accident, but she also said that she stuck up for the title, honestly, and she said she didn't really like how it made her title look if Becky just took it and held it up, which I completely agree with. Now, I don't know if she's being a diva, been a diva, I don't know. But, I mean, like, I feel like some of it, I mean, to do that is pretty unprofessional. If she did throw the title, like, on purpose, but to stick up for the title, I think is very admirable, and I think that more people should do that. Because this was dumb. This was a dumb idea. The title exchange was stupid. There's no point. Like, just, it made the titles look fucking stupid. And the fact that, you know, it comes off the heels of the Queen of the Ring tournament being a total of, like, 5 minutes. Total. And just, like, WWE prides itself on its women's division, and then they make them look like asses. It's like, okay, what's the message here? What are you trying to get across?
Yeah, no, I'm completely with you on all that. Like, I think that the titles, I think that's a big problem with the WWE, to be honest, in general. It's like that their title belts are so meaningless that, you know, the talents themselves, like someone like Charlotte Flair, who they've been kind of like grooming to be like, the most titles ever, and like, you know, obviously with Rick, even though he's like technically a 21-time champion, the WWE recognizes him as a 16-time champion, so that's the number they always use. And it seemed like they were trying to get Charlotte like to that number and like all this stuff, but Charlotte probably doesn't care anymore. She's probably like, these titles mean nothing, and like, I can be a 16-time champion going to another company. I can win other world titles. Like, I can still do that thing that people want me to, that are fans. But Brandon in the chat says, when you spend years building the division around her, she's going to develop an ego. I agree with that, but I don't think it's any. I don't think it's necessarily any different than what we see in like most pro sports, though. With like,
yeah,
you know,
I think there's a difference between like ego, pride, and entitlement.
Yeah. I mean, and if all these things are true, is what Charlotte did unprofessional? Sure. Like, you know, I'd agree with that. Like, if this was just her, because here's the flip side to all this, and I'll preface this because I am gonna talk a lot about the reasons I like Charlotte Flair, but I will say this: like, when you sign a contract with the WWE, or you extend a contract with the WWE, whatever the case, and you commit to stay there, you have to know that this is like, you got to understand what you're signing for. Like this, you got to know, because even if she was told like when she re-signed or whatever that things would be different, she didn't probably foresee Andrade leaving and Rick leaving, and she probably didn't foresee having to do a long-term storyline with a doll and all this stuff that she wound up having to do. And she probably regrets being there right now and signing, but at the same time, like, it is kind of on her that she knows where she's working and that these things are going to probably happen.
She grew up with it, you know.
Yeah, but also, like, speaking of growing up, like, you know, she has known Cody since they were like 4 years old. Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
I mean, like, people don't get that either. Like, I think she really wants to be in AEW. But I think that has more so been since Andrade left. Is my assumption. Obviously, just kind of what I would assume.
Yeah, seeing the way that people have been treated once they leave is very, like, interesting. And I think I think not just for Charlotte and not just for, you know, I think this goes for anyone. I can't speak for anyone, but this is just my assumption. I think it's for anybody in any company. They see, oh, this person left this company. They weren't doing anything with them. They go to AEW and they find something for them. It may take time, but they fit right in. It doesn't seem like they're an outcast. It doesn't seem odd or artificial. It seems organic. And I think that it's definitely been a huge game changer.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's a big part of the reason why there are a lot of people in the AEW fan base that don't want Charlotte to come over to AEW if she leaves the WWE, because they think that she's going to be a problem for their locker room. Because they have built such, like, you know, what you were just saying with, like, everybody, things being so much, like, it does seem like the grass is greener on the other side for the people that are leaving WWE and going to AEW.
Yeah.
But people are like, well, but if Charlotte's going to come over with this ego and she's just going to beat Britt Baker in 3 minutes and she's just going to win the title over and over and all these women are not going to get pushes and their careers are going to be over because of Charlotte. Like, I think people need to also understand, like...
That's her character.
Well, yeah, well, yeah, for one, yeah, very good point. Like, yes, her character is the queen, Charlotte Flair, who's trying to, who's always winning titles. But, like, do y'all really think that Tony Khan's just going to put up with that? And, like, the AEW locker room's just going to put up with that? Like Ivelisse, who is not... I see people comparing Ivelisse and Charlotte, like, oh, you don't want another Ivelisse?
Oh, man.
There is a monstrous gap between the value of Ivelisse and Charlotte in a pro wrestling company. Like, I'm sorry to any Ivelisse fans out here that have to be brutally honest about this. Like, there are, like, Charlotte's on such a different level that I'm like, she's gonna be treated different. Like, she's super ultra valuable to these companies. Ivelisse, most wrestling fans still don't know who she is. Like, there's a big difference. But, and I've seen all these other comparisons, like people being like, she's just like Tessa. It's like,
what? No.
Like, and by the way, we don't know what Tessa did or didn't do, but there is a lot of evidence towards, the things being true and or at least enough that, like, the mainstream companies don't want to touch her because they don't want the backlash, whatever the reasons, right? Like, Tessa is a different case because guess what, y'all? What Tessa was accused of was racist slurs and spitting on somebody, which is much different than being accused of being a little bit difficult to work with backstage. Like, that's a completely different level of, like, you can't compare those two things.
No,
like,
you can't.
Like,
that hate crimes and being a diva are completely different things.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's unreal to
Alleged.
me. Alleged. This is all alleged. But I'm just saying, well, let me put it this way. Ask yourselves these questions. Anybody who thinks that the Charlotte and Tessa thing are similar. If Tessa did the stuff she was accused of, would you want her in your wrestling company? The answer is probably no, right? If she did those things, would you... If Charlotte Flair did this, would you still want her in your wrestling company? Like, I'd say yes, because, like, Charlotte, this didn't really do anything.
Wait, if Charlotte was racist?
No. I'm saying if she did, like, the things we're talking about with Charlotte. No. If Charlotte did the same things that Tessa's been accused of, like, then it would be the same thing. Yes, for sure. But I'm saying, like, if Charlotte got in a backstage argument with Becky Lynch and threw a world title on the ground in the ring, would you still not want, like, is that enough for you not to want her in AEW? If you know what I'm saying? Like, if that's all it was, and once again, your husband bailed, your dad bailed, you have had stupid storylines all year, and you're seeing all of your peers elsewhere having more fun, having better matches, having better stories, and, like, getting to actually do what they do as their craft. And you're stuck there switching titles with somebody and just totally devaluing everything that you're doing. Like what's the point of doing what you're doing? Right.
And I think Brian Alvarez made a really good point on Wrestling Observer Live. He said, like, what Charlotte did was unprofessional, sure, but the blame doesn't fall on them. It really falls on the company and the booking for putting them in this situation. I mean, I think both of them, from what I understand, did not really like this booking, did not really like this, like, angle that they were going to shoot. And I think that, they really should start listening to their talent because they're going to have a lot more problems like this. And I feel like the talent should also be sticking up for themselves and, defending their characters and their titles and making them seem important because, honestly, ever since Becky Lynch won in 26 seconds against Bianca Belair, who they built up the entire pandemic, basically, it's been downhill ever since. And it feels like the titles have lost their prestige a bit. And that's not a knock on Becky or anything. It's just a knock on the bookings purely. And then, you have them trying to get Becky Lynch over as a heel, and it's just not working because, you can't hate Becky, She's too likable. it's been fizzling and fizzling, and it's like you're dimming the light of the brightness that is your women's championships. And then you have this stupid title swap, which made no sense and it was dumb. You look at this compared to the tag team title swap, and it's like embarrassing. It's frustrating as a fan of professional wrestling, because I want the titles to mean something, and I want the titles to be important, and I want these women to be elevated to their highest level. And dumbing them down and watering them down into this is just childish. It's stupid.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because that's the thing. At the end of the day, obviously these wrestlers are doing this. A lot of the reason is money. Obviously, like that's why you would want to do this. But like, on the level of like kayfabe or whatever, like what's the or not even kayfabe, I guess personal goals of the wrestlers themselves. Like, what are you really trying to accomplish in the WWE at this point? Like, if the titles don't mean anything and the stories suck, and you're only allowed to actually wrestle in the ring for like a few minutes a week or whatever, like, what are you actually like doing?
Right.
Like they're basically just taking you and trying to turn you into like a D-level actor or actress, and then like you get to wrestle sometimes, and like when you do, like, and that's the thing, when you stop caring about being the champion, like when that no longer is like matters to you, like I don't know what you're doing this for outside of money, obviously, but you can make money in other companies too and like still be like creatively fulfilled. And part of this also, you mentioned Alvarez. He was also talking about like, you know, Jon Moxley and CM Punk and Bray Wyatt and all these other people where it's like, you know, maybe they weren't as quote unquote unprofessional because they didn't show it on screen like Charlotte did, but like all these people were considered problematic by the WWE, and then now it's like all you hear about is how much Moxley is helping AEW, it helps GCW, helps indie wrestling, like all the advice and I mean, it's like these.
CM Punk has done nothing but put people over.
Exactly. Like,
you know,
I mean, that's exactly my point. Like, I don't think that these people are the problems. I think that well, I can't even call the company the problem. But what it is, it's a clash of like ideologies or kind of what you want out of the wrestling.
That's a really good way
business.
to put it. Clash of ideologies.
Yeah, because it's like if you're like a Dolph Ziggler, like I don't think he cares at this point. Like he just accepts what the WWE is. He's gonna keep re-signing there because he makes a lot of money, and he probably doesn't care if he's the world champion or not at this point in his career. Like, you know what I mean? I think he just
I've been there, done that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, keep traveling the world, keep making a whole lot of money. Because Ziggler, I mean, he's a good kind of reference point too, because he's been around the company so long. He's probably one of their top 5 to 10 paid guys in the whole company, probably because of how long he's been there. So like, you know, he's probably all that. So the point is like there's wrestlers like Dolph Ziggler, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, by the way. Like that's just what he wants out of what this is.
You do you.
Exactly. But if you're like a Jon Moxley and you're at the point where you're not even looking at the offers the WWE's giving you for another contract because you're so checked out, and all your peers are like, man, this guy's hard to work with. Like, this guy's just, his attitude sucks. Like, he's really dragging the locker room down. But then he gets out, and the next thing you're hearing is like, dude, this guy's awesome. He's helping our locker room. Like, all his matches rule. Like, his promos are great. Like, he has all this energy. And it was a change of scenery. Like, what Jon Moxley wanted out of pro wrestling is not what the WWE wanted for him in a pro wrestling. So he got out. And he's doing it somewhere else.
They had different definitions of what they consider to be professional wrestling.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, once again, Charlotte, I have no idea how deep in her contract she is or anything like that. But what I will say is, I don't think that's as much of an issue as what people think it is. Because that's another thing I saw over and over when I was going through like these comments and shit. There were so many of them that I couldn't even get to. I mean, people got opinions on this. This is like,
yeah, that was a hot tweet.
I mean, it's just, but you know, there were people that were like, there's no way that she'll ever get out of her contract. The WWE just gonna sit on her contract. I was like, maybe, but like we said all the same stuff about Bray Wyatt and others that got out of, and Andrade and Malachi Black, and like people who got out. Like there are
Right.
people who are getting out. There are people who the WWE is waiving their 90-day clauses and letting them show up in companies early and stuff like that. So like, and that's moving so fast I can't even put. There had to have been, I don't know how many damn comments on that tweet.
There's a
but
lot of engagement.
yeah, I mean it was like, and a lot of people hated that. And this is the tweet, by the way. I really, really, really want Charlotte Flair to jump to AEW. There's a lot of people that really, really hated me saying that, and it's like,
And that's okay.
which is fine. But what I noticed too, and I'm gonna call these people out right now. I don't know, not by name. I don't know who in particular, but I just think this needs to be said. At a certain point, sometimes I feel like kind of these like social justice warrior type people, they're actually the biggest jerks of everybody. Like the people who think that they're like helping everybody out by giving their opinion are actually the meanest people out there sometimes.
Yeah.
Because what I realized while going through a lot of these comments was a lot of these people, in all honesty, they just don't want Charlotte Flair at all on any of their, like, it isn't just that they, like, most of the people that want her not in AEW also don't want her in the WWE. It's like, it's really weird how much people seem to really dislike her based mainly off of this one possible story that, like, we don't even know the full details of. But I think mostly because they're tired of her being the champion on their TV screen, and they think that she's the reason that women aren't getting elevated, and like
Right.
and it's like, y'all are the biggest freaking marks in the world.
Right.
Like I'm gonna keep it real. Y'all think Charlotte Flair and Ruby Soho are on the same level? Like for real. Like Charlotte
Right.
Flair she might be the best women's wrestler of all time. Like, and I don't say that lightly. Like, she is.
Yeah.
Like, when the Bulls and Michael Jordan were on their run, like, y'all think that Michael Jordan was like an easy guy to be a teammate of? Like,
No,
you know,
he's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
That's what made him so good.
and that was the thing. Like, everyone on the team was happy because they were winning, but nobody probably
Right.
liked dealing with him. You know, so it's like, she's on a different level, y'all. I hate to say it, and I hate to use like Ruby as an example, because I think Ruby Soho has proved she's a lot better than what she was shown in the WWE. Like her
Yes,
AEW run is
for
already.
sure.
But like for people to think that like, well, if Charlotte comes over, then like, I mean, you know, then when's Nyla Rose gonna get the title again? It's like different levels, y'all. Like if you
Yeah.
get Charlotte, that is a actual legitimate star in wrestling. Like this isn't. I'll just use Ruby Soho as the example because she is fairly popular. But even in comparison, if Ruby Soho and Charlotte Flair were walking through the grocery store at the same time, no one would know that Ruby Soho was there because everybody would swarm Charlotte Flair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's levels to this. Like you don't just in the last thing I'll say about it before passing it over for your thoughts is that I need to also make it clear. I'm not basing this 100% on Charlotte's ability. Because if I was, I'd be saying the same thing about Tessa. If all I cared about was, well, she's really, really good in the ring, so sign her, I'd be saying, well, then they should sign Tessa Blanchard as well. But I'm not saying that, because these are two completely different scenarios. But with Charlotte Flair, it's like, she is a once-in-a-lifetime level athlete, in my opinion, and star in wrestling. And if the only issue is the little Becky title change thing that we're talking about here, if that's really the only issue, that is not enough to not take Charlotte Flair if you're AEW. You gotta take Charlotte
Right.
Flair if you're AEW. If that's all the issue is. So
Yeah.
yeah. But once again,
No,
if I was
I-
saying just on talent, which I'm not, I just need to make that super clear. Because people will use that against me and say, well, if it's just about talent, then you want Tessa there too. No, I don't. Like, because she did what she's accused of doing is totally different than what Charlotte was accused of doing.
Yeah, that goes beyond your in-ring abilities,
Yes.
you know.
Exactly.
Being racist is a little bit worse than being as good as a wrestler as you are. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's on a different level. But it's like, if it's purely, and if to me, and this is all alleged, obviously, to me it seems like Charlotte just if she is difficult to work with, it's coming from a somewhat decent place because she cares. And I think that it shows that she does have a true passion for professional wrestling. And I think sometimes we just have to take a step back and be like, well, what is the motive for all this? What is the reasoning behind the way a person is the way they are? And I think she has a deep, profound love for professional wrestling and the integrity of professional wrestling. And she doesn't do this out of disrespect for the WWE. She does it in respect of the WWE because she wants the title to mean something. She wants the title to be important and prestigious. She doesn't want it to be watered down. She cares about this women's division. She cares about the other wrestlers. And this is just purely my perspective. Sure. Maybe she doesn't. Maybe she just doesn't give a fuck about anyone else but herself. Who knows? But to me, it seems like she may not be handling it the best way, but I feel like her reasoning behind her outrage and the way that she's acting is coming from a decent place.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, I honestly, I think a big part of like why people are so upset, I think it's a lot of it is just straight up hardcore WWE fans that are like, well, Charlotte is ruining what I like about the WWE, and she's a diva, and yada yada, and like I don't want her, but I also don't want AEW to get her. Like, it's like, okay, but like maybe she's only a problem because of what you just said. Like, maybe it's the same kind of thing as CM Punk. Like, CM Punk literally walked out on the company with no notice, right. Just left. Like, because he was so fed up. He loved wrestling so much, and then he realized he didn't love it anymore because of what the company had done over and over with him. And it's like, Charlotte seems to be in a very similar boat, and she just seems to not really care about being in the WWE at this point. So, and now once again, people are, well, what if she goes to AEW and she has all these problems, then it's going to ruin the whole company and the backstage demeanor and blah, blah, blah. Y'all, Tony Khan, one of the many differences between Tony Khan and Vince McMahon is that Tony Khan actually works full-time outside of AEW. I mean, he has multiple full-time jobs. Outside of AEW, this guy's the general manager of the Jacksonville Jaguars and a professional soccer team. In those worlds, it is not uncommon to take a quote-unquote gamble on a superstar athlete, and if it doesn't work out, you just cut your losses.
Urban Meyer.
Yeah, right. But well, they've held on to Urban up to this point. But
yeah.
But that's a very good comparison though, Jessi, because like they could have very well just, that would have been a situation like what I'm talking about. They could see the Urban Meyer stuff, and they could have been like, well, we wanted a lot of publicity for getting him as the coach, and it hasn't worked out, so see ya. I mean, you do that in sports all the time. There were.
Well, you know what they said instead? They said he has to earn our respect back.
Yeah, which is the same kind of thing they could do with Charlotte. Like, they could easily be like, all right, well, if you want to do this and you're going to be like that, you know, you're literally starting from the bottom of the, like, you're on AEW Dark and you wrestle. I don't think they would do this because she's such a big star, but like, but we also see guys like Daniel Bryan and stuff, or Bryan Danielson, that are like, you know, that are choosing to do AEW Dark. But the point is, it's almost like the CM Punk thing too. Like, CM Punk didn't come in and just get a title shot. He has to work his way up the rankings. Bryan Danielson, he didn't get a title. He wrestled the world champion, Kenny Omega, but it wasn't a title shot. And now he has to work his way up the rankings to get to a title shot. Like, Charlotte wouldn't be any different than that. She wouldn't come in and just get a title shot. It wouldn't just be this thing where she signs to AEW and then just beats Britt Baker in 3 minutes the first time we see her, and now everything's, you know, ruined or whatever. Like, they wouldn't do that. So I don't know what everyone's so afraid of. And on top of that, guess what, y'all? And this really goes to the WWE fans out there, because I'm going to blow their mind right now, Jessi. Like, this is going to blow their tits off when they hear this. They're going to be like, I didn't know this was possible. You're allowed to push more than one person at a time in wrestling.
Yes, you are.
So guess what, y'all? If Charlotte's there and she's getting a push, that doesn't mean that Britt Baker isn't also getting a push. In that, Tay Conti isn't also getting a push, and that Anna Jay isn't also getting a push, and that Ruby Soho isn't also getting a push. Because it's possible. The WWE has y'all so brainwashed that you can only push one person a decade that they don't understand this. Like, CM Punk coming into AEW, whose career did that ruin? Bryan Danielson coming into AEW, whose career did that ruin? All it's done is elevate other people. It's done nothing but good for AEW to have these kind of people on. John Moxley, same thing. All these guys.
Yeah.
Like, so there you go. Like, if you're, I just don't, my perspective is also going to be different, because a lot of the people saying the stuff that I disagree with are going to be newer fans or younger, or like just don't see it the same way I see it. But that's some food for thought for y'all. Like, for those of y'all who really think that Charlotte Flair would be this giant issue for AEW, like, you wouldn't want Charlotte Flair in AEW. Like, get real. So, anyways.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Daniel Price in the chat is bringing up some really good points, and I think that it's totally fair, like, some of the arguments that he's making. You know, he says kind of like, well, the Jaguars suck and Fulham sucks, or I don't know even how to say it. That's not really good examples, and I get that, and I understand that. I can't speak for the soccer team. I have no idea how all that shit works, but I know for a football team, as a Browns fan, it takes a long time to build a team up, and it takes a lot of structuring and rebuilding, and it took AEW a few years to really get to where they are now, especially like with their women's division that we're talking about it. I mean, you look at what the women's division was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, or whatever, and you look at it now, and it's completely different. And I feel like it takes time, just like in a locker room, it takes time. You know, you can't just have a coach there for a year and expect things to turn around, especially on a professional football team. Hey, excuse me, don't spill those. And I think that things take time, and I think we need to be patient. We're in such a society and such a world now of instant gratification and instant, like, dopamine hits with, like, likes and tweets and instant, you know, streaming service, binge the whole series. You don't have to wait a week to see the next episode, kind of bullshit like that. We're so used to getting things now that we've become impatient. We've become extremely impatient. And I think that we just need to let it play out. And at the end of the day, we can say what we want and we can voice our opinions, but it doesn't fall on us. It falls on Charlotte Flair. It falls on, you know, like a John Moxley. It falls on an Adam Cole. It's their lives. And what they want to do with their lives is their decision. Because like I said from the beginning of this episode, we don't really know what's going on backstage. We only see and hear what we see and what we hear. And so when we speculate and stuff like that, that's all we're doing. And we're going off of what we would do in those situations, or what we would like to see come out of those situations. And, you know, I think, you know, anybody could have an opinion that they want, and that's totally fine. But I would like to see what would happen. I would like to see, for Charlotte Flair, in regards to her in AEW, you know, as far as her WWE run so far, I think clearly, like, I agree with you, she's one of the best women's wrestlers of all time. And to me, honestly, to really cement that greatness, I would have to see her in AEW, because I want to see how she does in an AEW where it's not as obvious that, like, just her name, and I'm not saying that just her name is getting her over, but, you know, her legacy has a lot to do with, like, her gimmick and her success.
Sure.
And I would really like to see where she could go without that. And I think she could go very far because she's incredibly talented. And it would really, if she could shine in AEW, she could really cement herself as the greatest women's wrestler of all time.
Yeah, because I've seen some people kind of debating that in the chat, and even if you don't think that Charlotte's the best women's wrestler of all time, but you can still kind of concede to the fact that, like, okay, but let's narrow it down to the past decade even. Like, she's got to be in the conversation, right, for one of the best of the last decade, like, surely. And that alone proves my point. Like, that's really the point I'm trying to make here. Like, even if you think that there are better women's wrestlers historically than Charlotte, like, the point is Charlotte's about as good as it gets for, like, current day wrestling. Like, there are other people you can put in the conversation, but Charlotte's definitely in that conversation. That's why I say what I say about her. Now, when it comes to AEW, I totally agree. Like, And that's a reason, once again, people are going to disagree, and that's totally fine. There's no right or wrong with this. But
Right. I enjoy the difference of opinions. I really do.
absolutely. And I think that, like, for me, the reason that I think someone like Chris Jericho is higher on my all-time list than Shawn Michaels, and even like AJ Styles, I think is up there, and I could consider him maybe better than Shawn Michaels as well. The reason I say this is based on what you were just saying. I had the opportunity to see Jericho in ECW, WCW, WWE, New Japan, AEW, like, and he thrived everywhere. AJ Styles, TNA wrestling, New Japan, WWE, like everywhere he went, he was the man. He could adapt to any situation, any of these companies, and be a big star. Shawn Michaels, none of this, that's his fault. Like, if I'm Shawn Michaels, I'd want to stay in the WWE my whole career too. Like, most people could only dream of getting in with the biggest company in the world and like them wanting to keep you your entire career. Like, I don't fault Shawn at all for being a WWE lifer. Like, that's not at all what I'm saying about this. But like, but my thing is like, man, but if I had been able to see Shawn Michaels do some New Japan or something like that, or if he did jump to WCW back in the day, like, and stuff like that, like, you know what I mean? Then I would be like, damn, Shawn like did it everywhere. That's like, and he'd be even kind of higher up on my list just because I got to see him do it all over the place. Once again, I'm not docking him because he was a WWE lifer, because I think that's super impressive that he was. But that's the thing with like someone like Charlotte. I think it would mean a lot to her legacy to do it elsewhere, like to be Ashley Flair or whatever, and go out there and see if she can also do it to that level and be as over as she is in WWE somewhere else.
Right.
So
I think it's really, it's a true test.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm seeing some things in the chat. I can't see all the chat because it's like
Daniel's being
fast.
a bit invalidating and rude right now. We're all allowed to have like our opinions, Daniel, and I respect your opinion, but that means you have to respect other people's opinions as well. So you're allowed to disagree. So let's just all agree to disagree and be adults. That's just what I want to say.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we don't mind differences of opinions at all in here, but
and like, a healthy debate. But we're not going to sit here and tell people to get a box of tissues or, tell people that their feelings are invalid. Like, we're not going to do that. No.
Right? Because this is all opinions. At the end of the day,
this is nothing but respect.
None of us.
I'm not trying to harp on you. I'm just saying that I just want to nip this in the butt before it gets too bad, because I just want everyone to. A healthy debate is good.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. Like, because at the end of the day, none of us are right or wrong about any of this. Like, it's all just complete opinions.
We're just talking about a fake sport.
Yeah. So, but it is one of those things where, like, I'm seeing stuff. I think you said something earlier about like CM Punk is like a bit like was like lackluster, and like Rampage's ratings are going down and stuff. I'm so not concerned about ratings when it comes to AEW, y'all, at all. Like,
he was talking about rankings, the ranking system.
Oh, the rankings.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, when it comes, just for the record, when it comes to ratings, people need to stop being so concerned about that. The AEW's been around for
the rankings, that's a fair argument, and I think that that's a super fair point.
Yeah, but doesn't he have it, like, he's not even in the world title tournament because he's not ranked high enough.
Oh, I don't know.
So that's the thing. When it comes to CM Punk, like, they haven't I mean, he's having to work his way in just like everybody else. When it comes to ratings, though, if anyone is talking about that, I just want to keep always, and this also goes to the whole like binge watching Netflix, give me now mentality. AEW's been around for like 2.5 years. Like there's there's no panic here right now when it comes to any of that stuff. Like the fact that that Dynamite is like consistently getting 1 million viewers in 2021, where this is not the same as the 90s where everyone has Nielsen boxes and everybody's watching standard cable television and all this stuff. Like, it's a totally different era we're living in. So the number one, the ratings don't matter nearly as much as they used to, just in general. But on top of that, do y'all really think that like Turner or TBS or TNT or whatever have any concerns right now when they're continuing to give AEW more programming time? Like,
right.
like, don't you think that like if they were concerned, they wouldn't have even done Rampage to begin with. And
Right.
even then, Rampage is on at, 10 p.m. on Fridays. I think they're happy. I mean, they'd be happy to be getting 1 million viewers consistently. But, like, you knew that CM Punk coming back was going to pop a larger rating than normal. Like, you knew that was going to happen. What the AEW was hoping was that CM Punk was going to come in, they'd break 1 million viewers, and in a perfect world, all 1 million of those people stay every single Friday. But the reality of it is, a lot of those people tuned in to see the return of CM Punk. And then after that, you're probably just hoping to be in like the 500,000 to 1 million range. Because once again, this show's only been running for a few months. Like, this isn't even, and it's on at a terrible time. So,
Yeah.
I mean, so it's one of those things where, like, anyone who's concerned about Rampage's ratings, like, I'm just not. I don't think it's a concern of anybody's outside of people who want to make it like in wrestling. So often, and it's such a shame. People create so many of their own problems as fans. Like,
Oh my God, that is so true.
They get in their own heads and their own booking and their own ideas and what they want out of it, and it's like they ruin it for themselves.
Yeah. First of all, throwback. Thank you so much. I was wondering where you've been. I miss ya. I'm missing. I don't know why your tweets haven't been showing up on my timeline, but I'll have to change that. I need to go engage with your tweets more. But thank you for that. But yes, I completely agree with you. I will never understand why people feel like they have to defend a certain company like it's their country and they're serving in the military. Like, right. You don't have to do this. Like, these companies are not people. They're not little defenseless children. They're grown-ass adults running a business. They're making way more money than we are. You're sitting there defending them for free, and you're fighting about them for free. I mean, I'm sure they appreciate the loyalty and the support, but it's like, y'all don't have to throw down and start insulting other people. Like, this is not, it's not that serious, y'all. Like, go outside, please, find a hobby.
Well, sometimes I feel like, and thank you, Throwback, by the way, it's good to see you, buddy. He said, hope you guys are having fun at work listening. Yeah, we're having fun talking about this stuff. I just lost my train of thought, though, now that I just said that to Throwback.
Army, military.
Oh, yeah. So part of me, it's almost like the way that some of these fans talk, like, would you rather there were just no wrestling? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
right, for real.
Like you're what are we doing here? You're so up your own asses, like, thinking that you know better than everyone else and that this person should be the champion and this person should get fired and this... Like in a perfect world, is there just no wrestling for you? Like, are you ever going to be happy? Are you just going to create all these problems in your own head? All these dweebs that I see online that do nothing but fantasy book their whole lives, just sitting around and getting mad when, like, the winner they wanted didn't win in a predetermined wrestling match. Like, I mean... let's keep it real. At the end of the day, this is all really for kids. I mean, like, I know that AEW is a more adult oriented and like GCW and that kind of stuff. I mean, I know I always talk about WWE being a kid show and stuff, but at the end of the day, like, even when you look at it from like AEW is more adult or whatever, at the end of the day, we're still talking about professional wrestling, y'all. Like, this is like, we have
to have, like, a sense of self-awareness here.
Exactly. Like, think about how you sound to the outside world getting really angry about pro wrestling. You know what I mean?
I know.
Like,
well, okay, so when me and Jamie interviewed Dave LaGreca, he brought up a really, really good point. And, he brought up that, he's been fighting an uphill battle with SiriusXM ever since he started to get wrestling to be serious. We're all professional wrestling fans at the end of the day, and we're all behind. Like, we should all be sticking up for each other, not tearing each other apart, because no one, beyond us, in our little circle, no one takes us fucking seriously.
That's so true. That's so true.
And it's, like, such a good point.
Like, I make the analogy, I've made it before, I'll make it again, the heavyweights analogy that I always bring up. Like, when you're a wrestling fan... You're not the fat kid. Everyone's the fat kid. You know what I mean? Like, we got, like, because I bet you if you were a fan growing up as a kid or a teenager or whatever, you probably got made fun of for being a wrestling fan, or you didn't want people to know you're a wrestling fan. You probably didn't
The
wear.
first thing people say when they find out you're a wrestling fan is, it's fake,
You
right?
know it's fake. Yep, that's fake. That's stupid.
Like, wait a minute, what?
The big one is, and trigger warning, but it's gay, right? Like, that's always what you hear. Oh, wrestling's gay. And it's just like,
Even if it was, so what?
well, that's the thing, is like, I don't, if everyone, like, literally, if every pro wrestler was gay and the show was good, I'd watch it. Like, I wouldn't care.
Yeah, who
Like,
gives a fuck?
But
that tells me more about you than it does,
Exactly. So it's like, that's my whole thing, is it's like, it is weird when so many, because it's like what Tony Khan was saying in that interview with Robbie Fox, like, watch your wrestling. Like, in most cases, or, at least I feel like most, at least this is how I am about it, is like, I'm not paying really attention to what anybody else is watching. Like, I don't really care. Like, I like what I like. I'm
enjoying it with the people that are watching it with me.
Yeah, exactly. And like, as much as I dislike the current WWE product, I've never once, and y'all can check this, the stuff I do at Fightful, my own podcast, Twitch, whatever, anything. Go back. I've never once ever told people not to watch the WWE. Like, if you like it, watch it. Like, I mean, there's no... I watched NXT last night for the first time since TakeOver. I thought it was a pretty decent show. I wasn't like...
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I wasn't like huge on some of the results of the show, but at the same time, I'm keeping in mind, and this is the same mindset I think people that don't watch AEW, that just pop their heads in and just, say this or that sucks all the time. It's like, when I watched NXT last night, as somebody who hasn't watched since TakeOver, so I have not seen Steiner in the ring before and stuff, I just know who he is. I was watching that in the main event, and I was like, okay, my kind of thought process was, I saw Tommaso Ciampa, and I was like, how long has he been painting himself like this? This looks a little strange. I don't know if I like this that much. And then I saw Steiner, and I was like, this kid's got a lot of promise. Like, he's still a bit green, but like I definitely see why there's a lot of hype about him. But then, like, when Steiner lost, I was like, oh damn, like, I thought like they were gonna really go all the way with him. I'm not saying they should or they shouldn't have, but my point is, I was a little kind of confused by the whole thing, but between Ciampa's look and Steiner losing, and Steiner not really being as good as what I think the hype I had seen about him was, there was just a lot of kind of confusion. But I wasn't sitting at home going, NXT sucks. They need to fire Tommaso Ciampa. Yeah, anybody who watches this is stupid. Like, I mean, I've made a couple of jabs here and there that I thought it looked like a 90s Nickelodeon show, because it did.
It does.
Like,
it does.
I mean, but I'm not saying don't watch it, or like that
right.
You shouldn't like it. And by the way, I'd be talking about something I don't really know a lot about anymore. It'd be the same thing as if I'd never watched AEW and I found out they signed CM Punk. So I watch it like one or two times and I'm like, whatever.
Did they sign him for commentary? What the hell?
Jade Cargill isn't that good. Jade Cargill sucks. It's just like, you don't know what you're talking about, though. Like, you're just like, what? You just started watching this. It'd be like if somebody just started watching the Cleveland Browns, and like, you know what I mean? Like, they've never seen the team before.
Oh,
and they're
God.
like, Kevin Stefanski doesn't know what he's doing. It's like, but you've never watched before. Like, how could you know? You're like,
neither did anybody before him.
No, I know, but the point is, you can apply it to anything. It'd be like the Vikings. It'd be like, Dalvin Cook's not good. It's like, what? Like, what? You just started watching this. Okay, but you don't know what you're talking about. That makes sense. But it
doesn't mean he wasn't good before.
Right, but my point is, like, I could have easily watched NXT last night and just got on Twitter and been like, these are things about the show I didn't like. But I didn't do that because I don't watch it every week, and I shouldn't even have an opinion on it, because that show's clearly also for kids now too. Like, that I felt like I was watching an episode of Monday Night Raw almost the entire time when I was watching NXT last night. So once again, it isn't for a 33-year-old man to begin with. So like, I would just sound foolish if I was spending my whole time complaining about this kind of stuff. And once again, keep that in mind, wrestling fans, if I'm talking about you. How old are you? Like, how old are you? And are you going on Twitter in all caps, breathing really heavy into your keyboards, yelling about things that are happening on Raw? Because if you are, and you're over the age of like 10, just think about how that looks to everybody outside of wrestling. Not just wrestling fans, but everyone outside of wrestling. It would be like me getting on Twitter. Like this is the, and it's gonna be a tough pill to swallow for some people, but it's the truth. It'd be the same thing as me getting on Twitter and live tweeting about how bad Dora the Explorer is.
Yeah.
Like, it would look the same way to the outside world. We got another super chat. Thank you so much, Peter.
Thank you, Peter. It says, do you think it's time now that the women got more than one match on a show in AEW? In my opinion, it's not good. There's still only one match a show all the time. Thank you so much, Peter. I don't really care how many matches it is, as long as the quality is there. I'm much more about quality over quantity. As a woman, I don't want to see like some lip service, like, oh, here we're going to put 2 women's matches on and then make fools of the women and make them look stupid purely because they want to have more than one match, and they want a good look. But if you can just elevate your women's division to be booked so well that you only need one match a week, that's totally fine with me. As long as you're not completely ignoring them, I'm totally fine. I just want to like make it make sense, like you always say.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm way more about quality than quantity. That comes to really when it comes to anything, not just women, but just like anything in general. Like I want the best out there, and to me that could be all women, that could be all men, that could be it doesn't matter what your gender is, it doesn't matter what your race is. I mean, like for the culture, for instance, it's an African American show. I mean, that it is what it is, and that those shows rule. Like they absolutely rule. Like, I mean, so my thing is, like, I think representation is important, obviously. Like, you don't want everything to be the same. You do want some differences, and you do want wrestlers out there that look like the fans growing up, that they can have, heroes that look like them. I think that that's very, very important, 100%. But I think when it comes to AEW, it's one of those things where, like, people have to really keep in mind, AEW's women division was basically set up on the backs of women who the WWE didn't want. And the reason I say that is because for years the WWE was signing like most of like the top tier women that were available. And if they weren't there, they were like in Impact Wrestling and stuff. But so when AEW started, they had to kind of work with the hand they were dealt with, and the hand they were dealt with for the most part was wrestlers that like were newer. Like I'm not saying like they weren't good enough to be in the WWE. They were too green or whatever. Because like Britt Baker, for instance, like she's learning on the job right now. Like she's still, and she's incredible for where she's. I mean, she's one of the most over people in the entire company. And she's having really good matches, and her promos are great. But when she signed with AEW a couple years ago, she was still pretty new. Tay Conti is the same kind of thing. Anna Jay, like they trained from scratch, I think, from the Nightmare Factory. Brand new. Jade Cargill, brand new. She had the history as a basketball player and a weightlifter, I believe. But as far as like learning pro wrestling, she's learning on the job right now. Right. They've been able to sign some women like Ruby Soho and stuff that are experienced, that they've been able to pepper in. Chris Statlander, still pretty new. Nyla Rose is still pretty new. I mean, and Nyla Rose is a bit different too, because she's more of like a power wrestler. She was kind of the focus of like the power side of like the division, so she's treated a bit different as well, because like you have to establish her as a powerhouse, but also you're pretty much introducing her to the show. Like, you know what I mean? It's like she's not only new, but like you also have to figure a way of making her an outlier, as far as like she's like the unbeatable champion when kind of the division started after Riho and everything. So it's like Riho herself, most American fans didn't know Riho, but they built the division around her because she had a lot of experience in Japan. But the point is, like, They didn't start out with Charlotte and Sasha and Becky and Bayley and Io Shirai and Asuka. I mean, like they didn't start off with this just stacked roster of established talent. So it's taking time to get there. And I think, to be totally honest, I think that they've gotten where they are way faster than I expected them to. Like their division is actually really good right now, in my opinion. I don't think they have the same level of talent overall that WWE does, or maybe even Impact Wrestling. But it's getting closer. Because, you got like Deonna Purrazzo and Jordan Grace and Mickie James and stuff. Some really high-level wrestlers over in Impact as well. But
yeah, for sure.
But then when you take all that into account, and then you also figure in they're introducing a TBS championship that is for the women. Like, they're going to be getting more time on TBS, which is a good thing. I think that they're going to... I think this TBS tournament's going to be really good, and I think it's going to be a middle finger to the WWE in a way, too, because I think this women's tournament, there are going to be real matches with good finishes, with good stories built into this. Like, and it isn't going to be like the Queen's Crown thing where it's like 2 minutes long and everyone's like, this sucks. I think that they're going to make it a point to make it a really good tournament, because what AEW does, this circles back around to one of our original points today. AEW, when they do this stuff, they do it with the focus in mind that what they're doing is also to establish that the titles matter. This TBS title tournament is going to be a good tournament, and their first champion is going to be a worthy champion, and it's going to be...
Exactly.
And the belt's going to mean something. In WWE, they're literally throwing the belts on the ground because they don't care. So this all goes hand in hand. And Thunder Rosa rules. I agree, George Hook. She's incredible. One of the best wrestlers in the world. Did I lose you, Jessi? I think I lost her.
No, I'm still here.
Oh, sorry.
I was trying to get my kids' lunch ready.
Oh, no, you're all good. I know we're going to be wrapping up soon anyway, but is there anything else you wanted to throw out there about the women's division or anything at all?
I think we kind of said what needed to be said. I think at the end of the day, we can have our opinions. I think with AEW, they've taught me to let it play out and to trust the process a little bit more than WWE has. I feel like WWE, has done me dirty a few too many times, and they have some trust they need to build back up. But I feel like with AEW, you just got to be patient, man. Just be patient. This whole Charlotte Flair thing, just let it play out. Like, at the end of the day, we're just sitting here having fun, speculating. And we're kind of like fantasy booking a bit, but we're not losing our minds over it, and we're not being mad if it never happens. But we're simply just having a lot of fun, and we're just trying to... because clearly this is a very heated topic.
Yeah.
And we don't want the heat. We don't want that smoke. We're just sitting here, giving our opinions, and we're just chilling out. And we just want everyone to chill out too.
Right, and like we were saying, like there's no problem at all with like having some ideas and like having your favorite wrestlers and yeah, nothing wrong with that at all. I have my favorite wrestlers. I have stories and matches and stuff that I want to see. Just don't get so married to your ideas that you're just gonna like mother F anything that's different than what you thought was gonna happen.
Right.
That's just kind of get your head out of your own ass when it comes to that kind of stuff. Because at the end of the day, what's it really matter? Just what at the end of the day, wrestling is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be entertainment.
Yeah, if you're not having fun, then stop watching.
And for real, if you're getting mad while watching wrestling all the time, just kind of put that into perspective.
Take a step back and think about the reason you started watching in the first place.
Yeah, every now and then, is there something that happens in wrestling that I don't agree with? For sure. Happens for sure. Sometimes there's matches that happen where I'm like, damn, the wrong person won. Or, damn, that was my favorite wrestler. Can't believe that happened to him. But, when it comes to certain companies, when it comes to AEW, for instance, if that's happening 5 or 10% of the time, but the other 90% of the show is awesome, I'm not going to sit there. Yeah, I'm not going to sit there and just focus on the few negative things. I'm going to focus on all the positive going on. So yeah, I really do appreciate everyone who was in the chat today. Yeah, even the varying opinions. Anyone who has differences of opinion, there's not a problem with me. I know we just got to keep it civil and polite. Everyone's got different opinions. None of us are right. None of us are wrong about any of this stuff. It's all strictly opinion. Even when it comes to the Charlotte Flair stuff, like, even though I have my opinions on it, and I'm very, very heavy on, like, I want Charlotte, and I don't think she's as big of a problem as what people are making it out to be. I'm totally fine if you see it a different way than me. Just be
cool about it. Jesus.
Exactly. Because I'm not saying I mean, you might be able to make a point that I just look and go, you know what, hey, I agree with that. Maybe I am a little. I am always open to changing my mind about stuff.
Me too.
You got to stay open-minded when it comes to pretty much everything, because there's always two sides to every story, and you gotta, my mind can be changed for sure.
Yep.
So, and like Peter says that he thinks that the women should be getting more time. It's fine to agree to disagree. For sure, 100%. My thing is, all I'm saying, Peter, is like, kind of like Jessi's saying, I just think, just kind of let it play out a little more, because you can tell that things are being put in place to where the women are going to be spotlighted more in AEW, and up to this point, once again, this isn't to be misogynistic or anything, I promise, but like, when you looked at like the women's roster in AEW, like, when they started especially, but then on the other side it's like Omega and Cody and the Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros and Pac and all, like, it's, and you only have a certain amount of TV time when you're starting. Like, you gotta put your big stars out there. Like, you gotta get buzz, you gotta get people watching the show, but that's where I think they did a pretty good job still of like establishing some of the women while they could, and now I feel like they're getting a much bigger time to shine, especially with Britt Baker as their champion. Like, she's the perfect person to be their champion right now.
Yes, homegrown talent.
Yes, and then I mean, you got Thunder Rosa and Statlander and Conti, and Anna Jay's going to be really good, and Jay Cargill's going to be really good, and Red Velvet and all. I'll say this though, for anyone out there, if Brandy comes back and wins that title, I won't be happy about it. And I think there's going to be a lot of people on my side about that, even though I love AEW. So we might be agreeing on some of this stuff eventually. But yeah, Jessi, if you want to let everybody know kind of where to find you at and everything, I'll get the sponsors pulled up.
Sure. You can find me at Jessi the Buckeye on Twitter and at Jessi the Buckeye on OnlyFans. That's the best way to support me directly, other than the super chats and everything on here. Also, my Venmo and my Cash App are on my Twitter on the tip jar. If you want to give tips, that's cool. If not, you can always leave super chats here. We appreciate everyone who's given a super chat today and all the time, and we appreciate the chat, even though the chat, can get a little heated sometimes. We appreciate the passion and we appreciate the differing of opinions, but I will not tolerate disrespect to other people. That's where I do draw the line, but it's all love, and everyone is allowed to have a bad day, and everyone's allowed to have a second chance. And and obviously if you like what you saw today, and obviously if you don't have to agree with us, we'd love for you to give the video a thumbs up. That would really help us out. Subscribe to the channel, because we want more amazing, like-minded, passionate people in the chat like y'all. And because we're kind of fluid right now with our schedule, the best way to stay up to date on when we're going to go live is to follow both of us on Twitter and to subscribe to the channel and get your alerts.
Yes, 100%. And like Jessi was saying, if you enjoyed this and if you agree with us, feel free to give a thumbs up. Even if you disagree with us, we'd still appreciate a thumbs up, just for, the time, and, you're getting your opinions out there. If you disagreed, I'll say this: don't give us a thumbs down. Leave a comment. Let us know. It doesn't have to be like you guys are idiots kind of thing. Just what about the conversation do you disagree with? Because if you could put it in there in like a respectful manner, I'll respond to that. Like, I'd be happy to give my thoughts based on whatever your thoughts are. And I won't come at anybody harshly or aggressively.
We're not going to attack you for having an opinion. That's not, you're allowed to have an opinion. It's a free country. You know what I mean?
And hell, I might agree with you. There might be something that I missed.
You may make a great point.
Yeah, there might be something I totally missed today that you're sitting there like going like, oh damn, why aren't they talking about this? I want to hit that thumbs down, but don't. You just go in the comments and go, Steven, dude, you totally missed this. And I'll go, oh damn, man, I totally did. You're right. It's a good point. So
yeah, I know. I'm never afraid. I'm wrong all the time. I'm never afraid to admit that I'm wrong.
So, but yeah, we really do appreciate everyone hanging out today. We got our sponsors for the show I'm going to talk about real quick, and we're going to head on out of here. I'll start today with my brother, Brian Jensen, who I'll be seeing any minute to go to Dave & Buster's. We are, or he is, a owner of Steel Boxing and Athletics out of Atlanta, Georgia. He is a personal trainer. He can help you with a wide variety of stuff, whether you're looking to throw hands, get in better shape, if you want to lose weight, if you want to compete at an amateur or pro level in any kind of combat sports, if you have any kind of neurological issue, whether it's like dystonia or Parkinson's, MS, anything like that, Brian's completely certified in all of these things, and he can help you reach your goals. If you're in the Atlanta, Georgia area, he can meet you in person. If you are anywhere else in the world, he can help you remotely. He can help you through Zoom calls, Skype meetings, that kind of stuff. So give him a follow on Instagram at BoxingATL, BoxingATL. The best way to get in touch with him is just to shoot him a message and set something up. Shout out to Music City Toys and Collectibles, the place to be for professional wrestling memorabilia. They got action figures, they got autographs, they got old magazines, DVDs, anything you think of for pro wrestling. Check them out. They're good people. They give you fair business. They are located at 101 West Main Street in Watertown, Tennessee, and that's outside of Nashville for those of you who are around Nashville, Tennessee. And check out their website, musiccitytoys.biz. Their social media is at Music City Toys, and they do live sales on their Facebook page, so definitely check their Facebook out. There's been a lot of stuff that I've got here in my office that I've got through those sales on Facebook. Basically what they do is they'll put a live video up on the screen, and they'll have the prices of the stuff. So like when Chad, who's usually running it, who's the owner of Music City Toys, Chad will take a Guy Fieri Funko Pop, and he'll be like $8, and then whoever comments that they want it first gets it, and they just invoice you the next day. All the prices, like if he says something's $8, then it's $8. Like that includes shipping, that includes tax. Like there's no hidden fees, there's no BS, there's no surprises. Like what you see is what you get. Super fair. So check them out. Music City Toys and Collectibles. I actually have some stuff to give away from them sometime soon too. I've just been so preoccupied, but we got some giveaway stuff soon. And as always, shout out to WrestleRumble.com. Check them out. Full gear pick'em contest. First place is $1,000 cash. Second and third are both going to get $100 each. We're going to be having a Survivor Series pick'em contest. Same prizes, $1,000, $100, and $100 on the line for first, second, and third. Those contests, I believe, are coming soon. I don't think they're open just yet. But stay up to date with the contest and the giveaways. It says right here, coming soon. Duh. Stay up to date with all their contests and giveaways at WrestleRumble.com and on social media. Follow them at WrestleRumble. You can follow me on Twitter at FightTalk_ for those hot, juicy, spicy Charlotte Flair takes. And make sure to use code FightTalk on IWTV.live or IndependentWrestling.tv. They currently have... I always like the running tally of how many shows.
I know.
They currently have 5,642 events from 279 promotions.
Incredible.
If you can't find something on there that you like for $9.99 a month, I don't know if you like pro wrestling. I'm sorry. There's use code Fight Talk.
Has to be said.
Yes, it does. Fight Talk in the promo code spot, FIGHTTLK, all is one word, no spaces. And huge shout out to Southern Underground Pro, my favorite independent promotion out of Nashville, Tennessee. They just came back this past Sunday with the show True Believers. I highly, highly, highly recommend that y'all check that show out. I'll be talking about it a bit this Sunday on the Fightful Select Weekender podcast, which of course you can listen to at FightfulSelect.com, along with Sean Ross Sapp's News, Alex Pulaski's Sour Graps, whole bunch of podcasts, Jimmy Van, whole bunch of stuff over there. And everything else I got going on, I'll just keep updated on Twitter. So, anything left, Jessi, before we sign off?
Nope. Everyone enjoy Dynamite tonight, if that's what you're going to watch, and enjoy SmackDown and Rampage on Friday.
Yes. For Jessi Davin, I'm Steven Jensen. Make sure you're following us on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you give us a thumbs up. Stay notified. We'll be back here I don't know, probably sometime over the weekend or maybe early
Yeah.
next week. We'll get it
Yep.
figured out. If you're following us, if you're subscribed, that's how you'll know when we're going live. That rhymed.
Woohoo!
That worked out good. All right.